The Code Geass King Lelouch has been officially revived. But how? So what's up guys, Foxen here. The Code Geass movie Lelouch of the Resurrection has officially been released in Japan. I just had a good long conversation with a friend in Japan and I'm kind of jelly. Spoilers have been coming out all this weekend about this movie and I've been able to verify some of this stuff. So for us not fortunate enough to be in Japan, let me go ahead and give you a summary and highlights. Starting off with how exactly Lelouch got revived. By the way, please do me the favor and like the video and subscribe. More juicy anime videos are coming. Alright, so the actual setup for this Code Geass movie. Like you've seen in the various trailers, you got Nanali getting ambushed in this trip to the desert, which happens in the first few minutes of the movie. You see Suzaku as Zero fighting the new so-called Geass user, Chario, which I'm gonna get back to him. Unfortunately, Suzaku uses a prototype purple Shinkido, which is incomplete. Either way, it ends up with Suzaku losing and Nanali getting captured. Suzaku too. Just a little bit later, you see Chario taking Suzaku into that kinky dungeon and then he starts whipping him. Oh, did someone say fan service? Yeah, this is pretty much what the movie is. For this scene, apparently they did knew that Zero had actually been Suzaku based on how Zero was moving before he killed Emperor Lelouch. Alright, so now getting into Lelouch's resurrection, how exactly did that happen? For this, they actually already revealed Lelouch's return in the poster and the recent trailer. I still find it hard to believe that some people really thought that Lelouch wouldn't be in the movie. I mean, his name is in the freaking title. But anyway, for the Code Geass movie, keep in mind that this is technically a sequel to the recap movies and not the TV anime. Recall that Shirley is now alive. A lot of people were thinking that she would be the one to revive Lelouch. Well, not exactly, but she does help. In the third recap movie, you can see C2 talking to Shirley before the final war in the movies. It turns out that Shirley was responsible for taking Lelouch's body over to France. Apparently, Orange-kun and C2 enlisted Shirley to do it since she wouldn't be suspicious as a regular citizen. Okay, seems kinda forced. Either way, Lelouch is officially revived in the European area. Except that it's only his body that comes back with Monster Reborn, which really just means that Lelouch is this empty shell, acting like a baby for most of the movie. Eventually, this leads into Lelouch getting the code mark in his chest throat area. Which, by the way, it's funny how I randomly called this mark in my April Fool's video like 2 years ago. Alright, so now getting into the rest of the movie, which honestly is kind of disappointing, and you're gonna see why. Since Lelouch is now an empty shell, of course they have to actually find his mind or soul somewhere. C2 mentions that Lelouch's mind is somewhere in the Sea World. In other words, C2 actually has to go to the other side to get Lelouch back, the real one, before he's really, truly resurrected. Before that actually happens, both of them spend a lot of time traveling together, as C2 is moving him to the location. As for Karin, at one point she meets up with C2 to tell them about Suzaku and Nanali's situation, but she got followed. This leads into the introduction of the first new Geass user, which is that lip ring dude over here. So get this, his Geass apparently makes others see him as an ally. His first victim, of course, is Karin. This leads Karin into fighting the ninja girl Sayako. Of course, the Geass doesn't work on C2, so they get the upper hand. So after that little conflict, C2 updates them on her plan to get Lelouch 100% back. She also confirms that she's reviving him due to her own wishes, not necessarily due to what's happening with Nanali and Suzaku, but that comes second. Eventually, all of them reach the other Sea Gate area. You see C2 and Lelouch going into a veggie state as they enter the Sea World. In the Sea World, both of them walk up to that purple orb from the trailer. Briefly, you can see Lelouch's parents making a cameo. Yep, you're gonna see Charles again. Over on the outside, these guys are fighting again. They go ahead and shoot up C2's body, cause, well, she could just Deadpool herself back. And then, oh yes, Lelouch is freaking back. He then goes ahead and orders all of them to die using his Geass. This is that shot from the new trailer when he got the new code mark on his chest, neck area. More on this later. Next up, eventually they find Suzaku in the dungeon, and yes, both Suzaku and Lelouch meet up. Suzaku is beyond shocked to see Lelouch back in the flesh, and he actually starts beating up Lelouch. I guess he just wanted to kill him again. C2 has to stop him. Alright, so now getting the gang back together. Lelouch and friends eventually meet up with the other people that want to rescue Nanali. First off is Lelouch meeting Cornelia. Oh, this is awkward. Unsurprisingly, she's super pissed that he's alive. Why didn't they get Yuffie back too? But she still ends up agreeing to help them out. And a similar deal with the other former Black Knight guys. You actually have Ogi here coming up and offering to take his own life after he betrayed Zero. But Lelouch is so forgiving. He says it's fine, no big deal. As for Snizer, this guy pretty much has a cameo in the movie. This guy is still under the control of Lelouch's Geass. At this point, you might be wondering what exactly is happening with Nanali. Why did she get kidnapped? So for a good chunk of the Code Geass movie, she's been dipped in freaking honey. So get this, here's the whole reason she was kidnapped, which is really for the plot of the freaking movie. Apparently this warrior nation got screwed over by Lelouch's Zero Requiem plan. The reason they kidnapped Nunnally was not just because she's this leader figure. They needed Nunnally to enter the Sea World and then use its power to rebuild their nation. Can you say pretty convoluted? Also, why not just get C2? By the way, for this movie you're gonna see a ton of new nightmares. One of them being the purple Shinkiro that Suzaku used at the beginning of the movie. By the time that they're actually gonna get Nunnally back, this thing is officially completed. So yes, you have Lelouch and C2 piloting this new nightmare for the movie. Can you say a new figure coming? And it should be super simple too, I mean this thing is just a freaking recolor, mostly. Next up, let's actually get into the conflict with the big bad of the movie, the blonde lady. With everyone geared up, this leads into the invasion to save Nunnally. For this blonde lady here, she actually has this code mark on her stomach, similar to Lelouch. Oh yes, but don't forget this blonde lady does have a Geass power, which is revealed. For a majority of the movie they were wondering how exactly they knew about future events to come. This is actually a power from her Geass. Whenever she dies, time is reset to 6 hours back, and she resurrects. Apparently the only downside of using this Geass power is that she doesn't completely keep her memories of the events that just happened. Naturally, she's gonna take full advantage of this. Lelouch and friends actually go through 3 loops to actually figure out a way to stop her. After Lelouch fails 3 times, he starts freaking out since they somehow know about everything. Eventually, Lelouch gets the upper hand by using her Geass and putting her to sleep. Oh, you can't use her power anymore. At this point, they just have to get Nunnally back, which unfortunately her mind is also now in the Sea World. So Lelouch and C2 go back into the Sea World again. Stuff happens, they eventually get her back, and then they blow up the Sea Temple. Right here, here's the interesting part about Lelouch's code. Lelouch ends up finding out that the code he has on his chest is actually in fact Charles. Yeah, think back to Code Geass R2. This goes back to when Papa Charles touched Lelouch in Season 2, and then got wiped out. The only problem with this is that it's apparently not complete. And yes, they don't exactly explain what this means, which I'm gonna get back to. Alright, so for the other battles going on outside, you have Karin with the upgraded Gurren that fights that Scorpion Nightmare. Honestly, I'm not too much of a fan of this upgraded Gurren, it looks much more bulky. And then you have the upgraded Lancelot versus Chario, the main guy that got introduced. So yes, cue in the other new figure for the new Lancelot. So both of these have been fighting outside, and what is this? It turns out that this Chario guy just looked weird. I'm talking about this dude's eyes. This guy in fact did not actually have a Geass himself. So now that Suzaku is using his beloved Lancelot and then turned on by Lelouch, he remembers that he still has a live-on Geass and uses it to beat Chario. Chario's nightmare explodes and the guy goes boom. So, wah, kind of a waste of a hyped up character. Anyway, here's some other interesting things. If you actually recall back to the first 2 seasons, you'll recall that C2's real name was never given. So, are you finally gonna find out in this movie? Sorry, nope, looks like you're never going to find out. Apparently C2 cannot remember it. What a load of bullcrap. So who knows, maybe they'll reveal it if they do a proper R3 Code Geass Season 3. Next up, Lelouch being Immortal, you might be wondering about that. So Lelouch obviously now has a code on his neck, chest area, but also keep in mind he has a Geass, which means that Lelouch is seemingly immortal. However, they are actually pretty vague about it in the movie, which means they actually don't explain it at all. Who knows, he could be immortal. As for other little fun things, apparently Lloyd and Nina managed to make this nightmare shield technology much smaller. So now they actually have these small shields that they could use with the special glasses. I could totally see this being abused. Anyway, now for the finale of the movie. So they actually finish this off Michael Bay style, they blow everything up and save the day. For practically everyone in the movie, it looks like they just go back to whatever the hell they were doing. But the important ones for this movie of course being Lelouch and C2. Lelouch actually ends up going with C2, who is now traveling the world. Apparently she wants to find out more information about the Sea World. C2 actually tells him to stay, but Lelouch is insisting that Shirley and Nunnally do not need him. But here's actually the more important reason, that being that his code isn't complete, which he found out a little bit earlier. Lelouch claims that he doesn't know whether he could die at any moment. This is really going back to the idea of, is this guy really immortal? Is he or is he not? So finally the movie actually ends with Lelouch calling himself LL or L2. Both him and C2 hold hands and go off to travel the world. Alright, at this point you might be wondering, is there anything post-credit? After the credits you just see the new L2 and C2, and Lelouch really just gives the Power of the King speech before it ends. So yeah, that is it. Sounds exciting, doesn't it? Here's a couple of negatives. From everything I've been able to confirm and been hearing, apparently there's really no development in the characters or story. This movie is literally fan service to Lelouch and C2, almost borderline fanfiction. So I guess that is a win if you are a Lelouch and C2 fan, especially with both of these getting together. Overall, it really just seems like this movie is almost definitely just a cash grab. Right now I am feeling mixed about it. The whole way the events are played out in this movie really just scream out, this movie is meh. It doesn't really feel like any sort of actual real progression here, more like a what if side story, and I guess that's literally all it's meant to be. Oh, and I can see a lot of Code Geass shippers just getting mad. To be honest, I've always been a fan of Lelouch and C2 getting together, but I was hoping for some sort of closure happening for Lelouch and Karin. That being said, let me mention the other new revived girl, Shirley. Honestly, this really just seemed extremely forced. I really don't see much reason for actually going through the trouble of reviving her. I mean, you had to deliver Lelouch's body, but then after that, no importance in the movie. If they really wanted to just do that, they could have explained the whole body part in some other way. I mean, why not just do an actual R3 Code Geass sequel season? It really seems like a missed opportunity. And don't quote me on this, but I have heard that the director and writer have been pretty vocal about not wanting to touch this story. In other words, they didn't actually want to do some sort of sequel. Maybe that's why they could only get them to agree on this almost side story movie? On the bright side, I don't think it actually ruins the R2 Season 2 ending, but at the same time it doesn't really add almost anything new. Like mentioned before, it just screams fan fiction. I guess we'll see what happens. How much money is this movie actually going to bring in? I mean, money always talks. And so far the other recap movies have actually done pretty well in ticket sales and Blu-ray sales. And as someone that's actually lived in Japan, I can tell you that Code Geass is still making a lot of money with merch sales, especially figures. Alright, so here is some extra information in case you do want to see it. Funimation has actually confirmed some US showings. On May 5th, they're going to be doing the subbed version. And then on May 7th and the 8th, they're doing the dub. I'm a little disappointed since I'm most likely not going to be able to see it myself. I'm going to be out of the country by then. And in case you also can't make the US screenings, just know that movies from Japan take typically about 9 months to come out. So you may see this come out in November. I'm talking about the Blu-ray. But anyway, more important, let me hear from you. What do you think overall? Was this Code Geass movie sequel even needed? And what do you think about the way that Lelouch was revived? Should they have really just gone the popular Code route? And do let me know, are you a fan of C2 and Lelouch ending up together? Maybe forever together. But anyway, if you did enjoy this video, smash that thumbs up and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe for more juicy anime breakdowns like this one. Talking about anime movies, don't forget that the Konosuba movie is coming out soon. Check out my breakdown on the latest trailer and I will have a review on that. Also, don't forget to check out my weekly SEO and Shield Hero videos, and I'll see you guys later.